Our Tom Eschen sitting down with Republican Congressman Mike Lawler of New York's 17th Congressional District. They join us now with that conversation.
Let's get to congestion pricing now. Free plug, congestionpricingsucks.com is your campaign. And of course, there was a commercial as well that went along with that. And you speak to the MTAs talking about fraud and issues they've had managing their money. I'm wondering about the environmental impact of this. Say you get rid of congestion pricing. I know there's been concerns about air quality and what that congestion pricing can do to help mitigate that in New York City. How is that on your radar when it comes to this conversation outside of the money aspect of things?
Yeah, well, look, certainly I believe in climate change. It is real. We do need to ensure that we are addressing air quality. Obviously, I have supported in New York the Environmental Bond Act, for instance, when I was in the state legislature, to raise $4 billion for environmental infrastructure and green infrastructure. But the reality here is congestion pricing is not about air quality. It's not about reducing congestion. It is a scam. It is about raising $1 billion from commuters so that the MTA can borrow $15 billion for its capital plan, period. That is what it is about. And the fact is that it disproportionately impacts suburban and outer borough commuters, number one. Number two, it is basically charging you as a New Yorker to drive to work. $2,500 annually for those that have to commute to Midtown or Lower Manhattan on a daily basis. Meanwhile, New York State is spending billions of dollars of taxpayer money on free housing, clothing, food, education, and health care for illegal immigrants. If that doesn't show you the problem in New York, I don't know what else does. The fact is that Kathy Hochul lied to New Yorkers cynically. She paused congestion pricing before the election because she didn't want it to have an impact on these targeted congressional seats, and then immediately resumed it after the election and tried to swindle people into believing that she's saving them money. The fact is she is raising the toll from $0 to $9. She tried to say, oh, I'm cutting it from 15 to 9. No, you are actually creating a new toll. So this was never about reducing congestion, and it was never about air quality. And in fact, all you're going to do is move traffic to other parts of the city, including the Bronx, which has among the highest asthma rates in the country. So you are going to impact negatively communities that can least afford it.
My final question for you, we'll get it out of here on this. As you mentioned, Governor Hochul, of course, the conversation has gone around. You haven't committed to running for anything at this point. I understand that. But we have had some pushback from fellow Democrats, Richie Torres most recently down in the Bronx. I guess I'd rather look big picture, on this. As we know, Governor Pataki was in office for a while. And now you look at the makeup, and someone yourself was in the state legislature. These days, as you were a Republican in a place dominated by Democrats. I guess, how do you foresee it, hypothetically, a Republican governor working with what is a majority or supermajority of an assembly and a Senate and trying to make things happen in the midst of that? Governor Hochul even struggles with that sometimes.
Well, that's because she's inept and incompetent. The fact is that you have to be able to present a vision to New Yorkers about the big issues that we're facing, from the affordability crisis to the housing crisis to energy challenges in this state to the quality of life, from crime to the migrant crisis. On each of these issues, Kathy Hochul has failed miserably because she is the most feckless governor in America. I am proud of the fact that I have won 3 times in 2-to-1 Democratic districts with broad bipartisan support. I'm proud of the fact that I've been rated the 4th most bipartisan member of Congress. I have proven that I can work across the aisle to get things done. I'm not worried about what the makeup of the legislature would be. If you actually present a vision and use the bully pulpit and go right to New Yorkers about the issues, you can get a lot done. And the fact is, while I haven't decided whether to run or not, I am strongly looking at it because we need balance and common sense back in Albany. One-party rule under Democrats has been an abject disaster over the last 6 years. They've increased state spending by $61 billion. They enacted cashless bail, the single stupidest piece of legislation that has ever been enacted into law anywhere in the country. The CLCPA is a complete failure. We are not meeting the climate goals, and worse, utility bills have skyrocketed because we are not producing enough energy. So there are real challenges in New York, and we need leadership. And ultimately, obviously, from my vantage point, I think it's critical that we have balance with Democratic majorities in the Assembly and the state Senate. The only way to get balance is with a Republican governor. So it is something I will strongly look at in the coming months. And if I ultimately am the right person to lead that fight, we'll go all in. But I do believe very strongly New Yorkers need a choice because what's happening now is not working.
We could go on for days about bail reform, the climate law. So we'll have to get you back on here soon, okay, Congressman?
Happy to join anytime, Tom.
Great. Thanks for the time.